Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most important tenets of human rights is, and I quote, wherever men and women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. That was Elie Wiesel in the context of the Jewish Holocaust, when the world, for the longest time, remained silent and chose to ignore the cries of Jews in the Nazi Germany. The discernment that this committee has shown towards human rights in South Asia, therefore, is commendable. I would like to express my gratitude to Subcommittee Chairman Brad Sherman and Ranking Member Ted Yoho for inviting me to appear as a witness in this august house today. Since, as a journalist, I have worked mostly in Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, I will speak for its people and leave it to my co-panelists to speak about the grave human rights violations committed in other countries of South Asia, especially Pakistani provinces of Balochistan and Sindh. Although I'm myself one of the persecuted Kashmiris who grew up in destitution as a refugee in my own country, I do not represent my community here today. I am here as a conscientious journalist who believes that the role of a journalist is to be a watchdog of society and to be a voice of the voiceless and powerless. So I will speak here nothing but the complete truth. I have to say that most of what you read in the Western press and some sections of Indian press is a distorted reality of Kashmir. While they're rightly highlighting the instances of violations committed by the Indian security forces, the story is often presented without context and a historical understanding, but it also carries a lot of certitude and self-righteousness of a narrative that helps the perpetrator and not the victim of human rights abuse in Kashmir. So let me tell you who the victim and the perpetrator of human rights abuse in Kashmir is. The victim is my friend, my Kashmiri Muslim friend, Suja Bukhari. Who was Suja Bukhari? Shujat was a senior journalist and a peace activist who believed in resolving Kashmir through dialogue between India and Pakistan. Shujat went from one capital city to another in the world, trying to convince powerful players that Kashmir needs peace. Several years ago, Shujat and I met here in the United States, and we spent a whole day discussing how we could put an end to the violence that Kashmir had seen and where both Hindus and Muslims had been destroyed. I heard him say that he wanted to see his children growing up in a plural and progressive Kashmir, that Kashmir used to be while we were growing up. We parted ways on a hopeful note that one day Kashmir will be peaceful and we will live together as we used to in a syncretic culture once upon a time. We met several times in Delhi in the last few years debating and discussing Kashmir as we had resolved to. The last time we spoke on phone, he complained that I hadn't seen him whenever I visited Kashmir during every crisis. I promised that I will visit him next time. Shujat did not keep his part of the promise. On June 14, 2018, he was shot dead right outside of his office in Pressclave area of Srinagar. Who shot dead Suja Bukhari? Lashkar-e-Taiba, the same terror group that has been banned by the US, the same terror group that perpetrated Mumbai terror attacks. Why did they kill him? Because Shujat wanted Pakistan to end the violence and human rights abuse in Kashmir. They killed him because he wanted peace. Who is the victim in Kashmir? The victim is 65-year-old Ghulam Mohiddin Mir of Srinagar, who as a businessman would pay all his profits, zakat, charity, year after year to the poor in Kashmir. But just weeks ago, On August 29th, he was shot dead. By whom? By Pakistan-sponsored terrorists. Why? Because he had dared to open his shop, defying the orders of Jaish-e-Mohammed, the same terror group responsible for the kidnapping and beheading of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl in 2002. Jaish, in the last 2 months, has been issuing posters warning Kashmiri Muslims not to resume their normal life. The victim is that 5-year-old girl, Asma Jan, who along with her father...
Excuse me, opening statements are supposed to be 5 minutes. If you would wrap up.
I would really request you to give me just 2 more minutes.
I'm sorry, we have a very long panel here.
I'll
Every one of them has 20 minutes of information they want to impart.
I'll try to wrap it up. The fundamental point that I'm trying to make is the victims in Kashmir are the ones who have been killed and massacred by Pakistani-sponsored terrorists. The number of Kashmiri Muslims who have been killed in Kashmir is immense, and they have been victimized by Pakistani terror state. I just want to make the last point. But throughout these 30 years of conflict, throughout these 30 years of Islamic jihad and terror in Kashmir perpetrated by Pakistan has been completely ignored and overlooked by the world press. There is no human rights activist and no press in the world which feels that it is their moral obligation to talk or write about the victims of Pakistani terror in Kashmir. Thank you.